Hi, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to be doing the weekend preview. But before we get to the weekend preview, we're currently on 99 subscribers. So if you're watching the video and you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. Let's get to that 100 mark. Keep the channel growing, and yeah. Anyway, let's get started. So the first game we've got coming up this weekend is Newcastle United versus Tottenham Hotspur at the St. James's Park Stadium. And the form of these two teams going into this game is quite decent, to be fair. If I check here, I see Newcastle go into this game being undefeated in the last 3 Premier League games. So basically in those last 3 games, Newcastle have had 2 wins and 1 draw. And then Spurs also go into this game being undefeated in the last 3 games. And they've also won 2 wins. They've also got 2 wins and 1 draw. So if you're asking me, both these teams look as if they're in decent form, like I said. So I'm going to go ahead and predict a 2-2 draw between Newcastle United versus Tottenham Hotspur. And then moving it on to the next game, we've got Brentford versus Sheffield United. Now, Sheffield, as we all know, are rock bottom in the league. Brentford aren't in good form either, to be fair. But basically, Brentford go into this game having 3 draws and 1 loss in their last 4 Premier League games, while Sheffield United also go into this game with 3 draws and 1 loss in the last 4 Premier League games. So they go into this. Both clubs go into this game with similar form, basically. But it's also important to note that Sheffield managed to get their first point last game week in the draw against the rubbish Chelsea side. I don't know, you've got Brentford and Sheffield. You've got 2 teams who are not good, if I'm being honest. These are 2 teams who are both rubbish. And I don't know, I want to say Brentford will win, but Brentford aren't in good form either. And you never know. Sheffield having drawn with Chelsea in their last Premier League game, maybe that'll give them a boost to actually start winning games or collecting some points to try and escape the relegation battle. Although I already think it's done. Their fate is sealed. They're definitely getting relegated this season. So I'm going to go ahead and predict a 1-1 draw between Brentford and Sheffield. Moving it on, we've got Burnley versus Brighton. Again, these are 2 poor sides, man. These are 2 very poor sides. And last time I checked, Burnley was still 19th in the league. But basically, Burnley go into this game with 1 win, 2 draws, and 1 loss in the last 4 Premier League game. Where else? Brighton go into this game with 2 losses and 1 draw in the last 3 Premier League games. So again, neither side is going into this game with a good record or good form right now. So again, for the 3rd game in a row, I'm going to predict a boring 1-1 draw between Burnley and Brighton. Moving it on, we then have Manchester City versus Luton Town. Luton. They've been very entertaining so far this season, They play good football, but unfortunately they're not very good at finishing their chances. And unfortunately for them, they're right down there in the relegation scrap. I think they're, 17th? So they are basically fighting for their lives. But then Man City are going for the league title, so City can't afford to slip up. They've already seen. And City will want to win this game, even though they've got Madrid coming up during the week on Wednesday. Man City will want to win this game. So, again, if you look at Luton's form, they've got 1 win in 12 games. 1 win in 12 games for Luton, and that came in their last game, to be fair to them. So maybe they also want to change their form and turn things around, but unfortunately for them, I just don't see them doing anything to Man City. I mean, the game is at the Etihad, so I think City will have too much for Luton. So I'm going to predict a 3-1 win for Manchester City, even though I do think Pep is probably going to rest a few players for the big game against Madrid during the week. Moving it on, we've then got Nottingham Forest versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, the game is at the Forest ground, so in terms of form, Forest go into this game with 1 win in 4. So again, that is quite poor from Nottingham Forest. Whilst Wolves go into this game with, they also have a similar record. They also go into this game with also 1 win in 4. So both Forest and Wolves are not doing well as we speak. So again, I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw between Nottingham Forest and Wolverhampton Wanderers. And moving it on, we've then got Bournemouth versus Manchester United. Now, granted, Bournemouth go into this game in very good form. I think they've won 3 of their last 4 Premier League games. They've only had 1 loss. Whereas Man United, on the other hand, have only won 1 game in the last 4 Premier League games. So they're not going into this game in good form either. But to be fair, we did get a point off Liverpool and helped derail their title charge. So I don't know if that's going to boost the Man United players into trying to put in a good performance for tomorrow's game. But I don't know, man. These United players are just rubbish. Every time we think they're actually going to pull up and do something meaningful and, you know, fight for the badge and show some passion, they don't. They let us down. But I guess I'm a sucker for that, because I'm going to go ahead and predict, even though we're going into this game in poor form and Bournemouth coming to it in good form, I'm going to predict a 3-2 win for Manchester United away at the Vitality Stadium. Moving it on, we have Liverpool versus Crystal Palace, but that game is on Sunday, if I'm correct. Liverpool go into this game with having only won 2 of the last 4 Premier League games, but the 2 games that they did draw, to be fair to them, were against United and, was it City? I think it was Man City. So they still go into this game in decent form, although Liverpool got smashed last night. They got smashed 3-0. So hey, happy days. We love to see it. Continue doing that rubbish, Liverpool, please. That Klopp thingy, what you call, his farewell tour, it looks like it's going down the crapper, if you ask me. But anyways, Liverpool go into the game against Palace tomorrow, and Palace have 0 wins in the last 5 Premier League games. So Crystal Palace are rubbish, man. They're so rubbish. So I don't see them doing anything to Liverpool. So I'm going to predict a 3-1 win for Liverpool. Moving it on, we have West Ham versus Fulham. So again, these teams are not exactly in great form. I mean, Fulham have got 0 wins in the last 3 Premier League games, whilst West Ham only have 1 win in the last 5 Premier League games. So both teams are rubbish, if you ask me. So again, I don't know how many times I've predicted draws in these week's games, these weekend's games rather. But again, I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw between West Ham and Fulham. And then we've got Arsenal versus Aston Villa. That should be the proper fixture of the weekend, if you ask me. It's going to be a tough game for Arsenal, although the game is at the Emirates. Villa are fighting for top 4. Well, they are out of the top 4 currently. They're 5th in the league. So they'll be trying to get back into the top 4, whilst Arsenal are trying to maintain their title charge, because they're top of the league, but only on goal difference against Liverpool. So I see Arsenal pushing. Villa will take Arsenal to the full limit, if you ask me. I think it's going to be a tough game for Arsenal, but Arsenal will somehow come out of that game with a win. So if you're asking me the score, I'm going to predict a 2-1 win for Arsenal at the Emirates, which will help keep them in the top of the league. And then moving on to the last game of the game week, which is Chelsea versus Everton. It's going to be playing on Monday night. The game is at Stamford Bridge. Both teams are rubbish, honestly. They are. Chelsea, let's see. Chelsea have 2 wins in their last 4 Premier League games and 2 draws. Of course, they drew in their last game against Sheffield, who are bottom of the league. So Chelsea aren't good either. And then when it comes to Everton, they got their first win in 14 games just last weekend. Like last weekend, Everton got their first win in 14 Premier League games. So they're not going into this game in great form either. So I'm going to go ahead and predict. This is just 2 boring, rubbish sides. So I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw between Chelsea and Everton. So yeah, those are my thoughts into this coming game week. Yeah, I've got a lot of draws rather. I've got a lot of draws that I've predicted this coming game week. But yeah, we'll see how the weekend goes. Anyways, like I said in the beginning of the video, we're on 99 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please click the subscribe button. You know, let's grow the community. Let's make it even bigger and better. And yeah, if you haven't already, like the video, share the video, and like I said already, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon.